Good morning, ladies and gents, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, and bambinos too. It is a fairly decent but fresh Friday morning. It is 10 o'clock, and that can only mean one thing: FPL talk. We're talking Fantasy Premier League. It's been a couple of days, and I've purposely left it because today is a big day, people. Today is not only Black Friday, today is not only Friday in general, so the weekend's coming up. And also, it is game week 13's deadline. That's right, 6:30 people. You've got till 6:30 p.m. to get your transfers in. Now, I say 6:30, I put 6. And I'll tell you why I put 6, not because it was a mistake, not because it's a typo, but the closer you get to 6:30, the more likely Fantasy Premier League goes mental, doesn't it? The app, online, the website, you get all these things. I tried to do this transfer and it crashed, or it just didn't work, or it wasn't loading, or I got so many problems, technical difficulties. Do it beforehand, people. I'm not saying do it days beforehand, although some people like to make instant transfers. The knee-jerkers out there will make changes on the spot, won't they? They will quite literally just kick a player out because he didn't play well and bring in someone else, just rage transfer. However, people, give yourself time today. So we've got 2 videos today, live streams. We've got one right now, which we're doing. Hello, people, if you're watching live. And we've got one at 2:30 as well this afternoon. This morning's one, though, we are going to go straight in and have a quick look at certain bits and bobs. So I'll share my screen, let you have a look. You guys by now have seen my team if you've been watching my videos or even checked out my socials. There's a screenshot on there of the current team. It looks like this. So there's no changes just yet. I will make them later today, but not at 6:30, people, or 6:29, because we will have problems, won't we? Yes, we blooming well will, and you know what I'm talking about. See all those complaints on Reddit. So instead, what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a mixture of 2 things. So there was a poll out on my socials, on X and on Facebook. We'll have a quick look at those polls, and I'll let you guys know what I think of your votes, etc. So the first poll I put up there, the first question I posed was, there was a potential injury to Konate. Now, I've since read that it might not be as serious, which is good news to a degree. It is a massive match against Manchester City, so one would assume that as long as it's nothing too critical, Konate should be back and they'll play him. They have got Gomez, they have got Kwanzaa available, but let's be honest, Konate's been a pretty good and cheap way into the Liverpool defence this season. But I was questioning another defender just in case. The maximum budget I had is 4.4 million. I put that down in the note against the poll, and it finished sort of. There's still 2 hours left, so I'm going to claim it semi-finished. But basically, Lewis Hall has the outstanding votes from you guys, isn't he? 57.1% of people said get Lewis Hall in. Then we had 21.4 who said Mikalenko. 14.3 went Lisandro Martinez, and 7.1 went Craig Dawson. Now, I put Craig Dawson in. Totti is another option as well. He also plays 4.3 million, so he was an alternative maybe for Craig Dawson. Burns is another one as an alternative to Lewis Hall. I just went with the popular choices percentage-wise when I listed it and put these names down as options. There is also Anderson, who's from Fulham, the centre-half. He's an option as well, to put it out there. So there's quite a few bits and bobs we can look at, really, in terms of players and options and choices, really. But it looks like Lewis Hall got the outstanding decision. So, okay, I'll factor that in, have a little think about that. The second poll I did was about Manchester City. Now, I've read stuff on Reddit, I've watched videos, I've watched YouTube videos and stuff like that from other people talking about how now is the time to ditch Manchester City players or assets in general. The reason, I guess, behind that is because they're sketchy at the moment, aren't they, really? Haaland isn't scoring as much. The defenders are leaking goals. The midfield is uncertain, isn't it? Chopping and changing. And without Rodri, yeah, there's big problems with Manchester City, really. However, in the back of my mind, and I put this as the note against one of the polls of who's going to win between Manchester City and Liverpool, but this could be a draw. I have a sneaking suspicion City are going to turn up on Sunday at 4. I do. I think they'll turn up and I think they'll do something. I'm not saying they'll beat Liverpool necessarily, but I could see a draw out of that one. I would say a not high scoring draw, probably a 2-2 or something like that. And I do see Manchester City getting something out of that game. I really do. I could be wrong. Hey, come 4 o'clock on Sunday, I might have egg on my face and Liverpool win 3-1 or 3-0 or something like that, or some crazy 2-0 win. And I know Liverpool are able to do it. I know they're capable. I know they're brilliant. I know Salah in particular is on fire, isn't he, at the moment, with goals left, right, and centre and assists and performing really well. Although he did miss a penalty the other day, and that worries me ever so slightly, teeny-weeny bit. But hey ho, it's so small, that worry. It doesn't matter. Obviously, the injury to Konate, if that's rules him out of Manchester City, the Manchester City game, that could have a knock-on effect as well. But the poll for that game was 60% of people, or 60% of the votes went to no ditch Manchester City defenders only. Okay. 40% of them went with ditch all Manchester City players. So, yeah, the defenders. Now, I'll pose it to you. Leave me a comment. Leave me a DM or something like that, or put a note against it about... It's a bit of a weird one, because I still believe that the 2 players that I've got in my team aren't bad to hold, just in case. So obviously, I say just in case, Haaland is not a hold just in case, in my opinion. That guy can go off like a firecracker. Could just be one game, all it takes, bang, 3 goals, and that's it. Everyone is falling over themselves trying to get him back in again. They are. It's true. There's so many knee-jerkers on Fantasy Premier League that FPL, you find that 1 goal, 2 goals, a little bit of consistency, a little bit of a run, and bang, everyone's jumping on Haaland again. And as for Lewis, I've got Rico Lewis in the team. I've got him, I would say, midway through his sort of run in the team, really. He went through that phase, didn't he? And everyone just jumped on the bandwagon at 4.5 million. Got to get Lewis in. Good shout, good bringing in. He is a good player. But I've got him on the cheap right now at 4.8. Getting rid of him and then thinking, who do I bring in instead? There's some good players, but at 4.8 million, it's a bit of a weird price point, that is, isn't it, really? You can't bring in the premiums. You can bring in the cheapy ones, but in my opinion, Lewis is an elite cheap, if that makes sense. He sits in that cheap sort of 4.5 to 5 mil bracket, but he's, in my opinion, a little bit better than some of the 4.5s and 4.4 million players. Now, Nottingham Forest have something to say about that, because they've had a really good start to the season, didn't they, really? They fell away a little bit in the last few games. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm toying with the idea of keeping Lewis. Plus, the budget's not there to get anything great from that, really. The final poll I did, which was basically just I put it out there, question about the match on Sunday between Liverpool and Manchester City. Huge game. And it would have been a huge game any other season, but I actually think it's bigger now. I really do think it's bigger now at this particular weekend, because Liverpool are flying. They're going to do really well this season, top 2, top 3, I think, easily. But it's more about Manchester City. They need to bounce back. They've been quite poor, quite inconsistent, leaking goals left, right, and centre. This might well be a catalyst game for them. And that's why I think it might end up, I get that sneaking suspicion there might be a draw in this one, or I don't think a win for Manchester City. Let me make that clear. But I think they might get a result. And I'm thinking a draw. I really, really do on the weekend. 62% disagree with me, though. 62% say Liverpool win. Only 7.7% of the votes went with a Manchester City win. 23.1% went draw. So, outstanding choice was a Liverpool win. Okay. I'm assuming that out of all those voters, they're all Liverpool fans. Yeah. To be fair, you guys have a reason to sort of believe that you're going to win, the game. You're on fire, you're at home. The form is on your side. Salah's doing really well. Defensively, you look really quite good. So, yeah, you've got a bit of an all-round package. And it surprised me a little bit, just to go off point a little bit, but back on again. It surprised me a tiny bit how well Slot's done for Liverpool. It really does. Because when Klopp left, and I'm a huge Klopp fan, I'm an Arsenal fan personally. I actually wanted him at Arsenal back in the day when he was at Dortmund. And when we were going through that phase of, Emery out and all these kind of players, and these managers coming in and out, and who do we get in? Even prior to Arteta, I was thinking, come on. But we didn't. I do like Klopp. I think Klopp had passion. I think he had the ability. You could argue his time was winding down a little bit, and you got that feeling, didn't you, towards the end of the season? As well, he was getting a bit more irate, he's a bit more funny, a bit awkward, I'm surprised at what he's doing now. He's global director or something like that, isn't he, for RB Red Bull? That's a weird decision, that is. But hey, if you get paid, why not? I guess he's getting paid the same or more than he was when he was a manager at Liverpool. Otherwise, why else would you choose to do that? Especially if your stock is really high. I mean, Klopp's stock was through the roof when he left Liverpool. But Slot surprised me a tiny bit. He's almost took over from Klopp and calmed things a little bit, gone under the radar as a manager a tiny bit. And I think because all the eyes were on Manchester City and all the eyes were on Arsenal and how are they going to do in first or second this season, it's left Liverpool to sort of once again slip under the radar a little bit and just keep churning out results. And I've been quite impressed with Liverpool, hence why I've got 2 players from their team in Konate and Salah and 2 players in Manchester City, albeit not for that reason, in Lewis and Haaland. But I unfortunately, guys, have to tell you, I slightly disagree. Only slightly today. I've got this horrible, well, it's not horrible, but this sneaking feeling that it's going to be a draw jobby. I really do. I think it's going to be probably a 2-2 on Sunday. But hey, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. By all means, send me a DM or a message and we'll chat about it or post. So yeah, those are the polls that I've done really. And I'm going to look now at sort of the way we go through this, because the matches individually we're going to break down and see how that affects my team. Let me know, obviously, in the comments, guys. Don't forget I'm on the socials. So X is the big one that a lot of people seem to be interacting with me on at the moment. AJ1985P, keep interacting with me on X. Leave some comments. Don't be afraid to just put a note. I'm not bothered. I'm not offended. As long as it's not too abusive. Leave notes, leave messages, leave comments on there. We could be special friends. Follow me, like me, subscribe, of course, as well, if you would. I'm also on Facebook, AJP85-channel. Check it out. Follow me, please, if you would. I've got 0 right now. It's not great. Go on. I'd like to get some followers, if you would, some friends, and we will bounce ideas. I'm also in some of the FPL groups, etc. as well. So I do chat FPL and also Football Manager as well on the side note. Obviously, YouTube, guys, that's where the live streams are going to at the end of it all. Check out my videos, AJ Hardy 85. That is the username on YouTube. And I'm also on Twitch, which is one of the live streams, but that is only an instant live stream. And that's A_J_P_8_5. So far, we're doing things all strategy football-wise. So we've done Football Manager, and now we're focusing on FPL. And for the next sort of 15 minutes or so, we're going to run through the fixtures that are coming up this weekend and how they affect my team. Let me know in the comments how they're going to affect your team as well. If you've got anything similar player-wise as well, it'd be good to know. Tonight, we've got a match which does affect me slightly. It's Brighton versus Southampton. Brighton at home. Their form has been okay. They won, they beat Bournemouth, didn't they, last weekend? Southampton lost, didn't they, to Liverpool 3-2. It was a bit of a borderline game, that one. And then if we go back a smidgen, Brighton did well against Manchester City, so they're doing quite well there. Again, Southampton, though, lost to Wolves. So you look at the fixtures and you think, apart from the win against Everton there, Brighton lost to Liverpool. You think to yourself, okay, that's probably going to be a Brighton win. I'm hoping for exactly the same. You guys, I know, are, because I'm telling you right now, I could tell you who you've got your teams. You've either got Welbeck, haven't you? João Pedro, yep, more than likely one of those two. Maybe a Matoma in your team as well. Estupinan hasn't been that great this season. I don't think he's played much at all. Dunk is out injured. If he comes back for this match, which I think they probably will bring him in for the game, then I can see an easy Brighton win. I really can. An easy Brighton fixture. It's South Coast fixture as well, so it's going to be quite interesting to see. I will be tuning into that one tonight at 8 o'clock on Sky, so I will be watching it. And the reason I'll be watching it is for my man, the one that I haven't mentioned yet to you guys, Jorginho Rutter. I have him. There's a little bit of a question mark against him because now João Pedro's back. I'm wondering, is he going to get minutes risk? He's still been playing quite a few minutes, irrespective. Sort of 60-minute mark, which is just about enough time to make an impact. I was a bit annoyed that he got a yellow card in that match against Bournemouth, because if he didn't, I reckon maybe a squeeze-in bonus point for that, potentially. But otherwise, he got me an assist, so I'm quite happy with that in general. Prior to that point, he was a bit... But let's be honest, Man City, Liverpool, it's not easy to sort of score against them. And when they got a goal against both of those, or conceded 1 and conceded 2, you think to yourself, is Rutter going to be on the end of it all the time? Probably not. It's Welbeck. It's João Pedro, isn't it? Those kind of players. He did well against Wolves. He's done well against Newcastle and Tottenham and Chelsea. So I'll hold him for now. I don't have to worry about price problems as well, because he's already on 5.6. So in case, it's unlikely, but in case he drops to 5.5, I signed him for that much anyway, so he won't affect me at all with the price change. So I don't have any Southampton players, so let me know, guys, what you think. I'm sure you're all after a Brighton win this afternoon, this evening. Let me know who you think is going to score in that game, what you think the score is going to be at 8 o'clock tonight. So Saturday we have Brentford, Leicester. I have a player from that one. I have two, technically, you could argue. I have Wissa and Van den Berg. Van den Berg annoyed me last week. He annoyed me because every single week Van den Berg has played, Brentford have conceded. And on the week where I went, do I bring him in? I actually had him in the team, and then I put him on the bench, team bench, toyed with it a lot, stuck him on the bench in the end. He got 6 points, didn't he? He got a clean sheet. The only one of the season he got against Everton away. Of course he did. Anyway, yeah, it makes me want to put him in, but I'm conscious of the fact that Leicester have just got rid of Cooper, which surprised me a little bit because of the timing. Ruud van Nistelrooy looks like he's coming in. Interesting, intriguing. Be interesting to see how that goes. So, yeah, he's not quite... I don't think he's signed yet, has he? I'll have to check on the news. I don't know if... I think Ruud's actually officially the manager this second, so maybe he won't be in for the Leicester match. But I'm looking at Wissa, and I wanted Brentford coverage. But I wanted Wissa more because I find when he plays well, so does Mbeumo, and you get the two of them sort of flying. So if you're not getting Mbeumo's points, you're getting Wissa. You're not getting Wissa's, you're getting Mbeumo. So, and I'm not going to have both of them. One, because Mbeumo's rocketed price-wise now. He's not worth chasing. And two, because I'm quite happy with Wissa. So he didn't do great against Everton. They were quite quiet. So he didn't do fantastic. But against Bournemouth, he was electric. Fulham, not so good. Ipswich, electric. Man United, not so good. So, and then obviously the games prior to that point, we had a purple patch, wasn't it, really? So I'm going to keep Wissa a bit longer. Similar to Rutter, he's gone up in price. I don't have to worry. I've got Wissa at sort of a lower price, so his price changes won't affect me. So I've got a dog and bite on 3 o'clock on Saturday. I have a player in that one. Crystal Palace, Newcastle. I don't have anyone from either of those teams. I am, as you saw with the poll put out, Lewis Hall as an option, potentially as a defender. So we will see. If I bring in a Newcastle player, I will have someone in. I did have Gordon, and I have had Barnes in the past as well. But I've kicked them out long since, gone for Johnson and other players as well. Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich. Potentially have a player in that one. Depends on the transfers that I make. Maybe Burgess, if Greaves is still out. Greaves I currently have still a second, so potentially a player there. Looking at the previous history and their performances, Ipswich drew 1-1 with Man United. Nottingham Forest got thumped by Arsenal. Prior to that point, we're looking at Ipswich 2-1. They beat Spurs and Nottingham Forest. Well, 3-1 loss. So Nottingham Forest have been a little bit on the downwards, but they have played Newcastle and Arsenal. Ipswich have been on slight, I wouldn't say up, but they're doing okay. They've won and they've drawn, so they're doing okay. Ipswich starting to find their feet a little bit in the Prem. So I will have a player potentially in there, and maybe Lewis Hall if I opt to bring him in. Then we move over to Wolves versus Bournemouth. Again, don't have a dog in the fight of that one, but was asking and put up a poll about Craig Dawson and Totti as an option. And there's a big scream on that from you guys. I can hear it already. Cunha, why are you not getting Cunha in? First and foremost, Cunha's been brilliant. Secondly, you probably say kick out Wissa, but then I have to start jiggling the whole team round. I could do it potentially. I could kick out Jorginho Rutter. I could kick out Morgan Rogers. I could then play around with Wissa, kick him out, bring in Cunha, and then that's it. We got him in. Maybe, I think, to be honest with you, I'm looking after Christmas, New Year for the second wild card for that side of things and see if he still carries on with his form, because Cunha, as you can see, 7 million, flying. Really, really good performances. But I will say this simply, all of the good performances, look at the history, have been against the teams that are, mid to low part of the table. They've got purple patch, a really good green patch coming up soon. So, but then after that, it goes a bit downhill, and that's probably when he'll get dropped. So I might, if I'm going to bring Cunha in, look at this part in February. I know it's quite far ahead. But obviously, if they go mental and just keep scoring, then I might look to bring him in sooner than that, especially during the green patches that we've got coming up. But I don't have a player yet. If I bring Dawson or Totti in, I might have a defender. Then we got the big one at 5:30 tomorrow, London derby between West Ham and Arsenal. I naturally have players from Arsenal in that one. I have Raya and Saka. And then I also have Fabianski on the bench. Now, Fabianski's been really surprisingly good since he's took over from Areola in goal. And that was a bit of a shock, the change. I'm not saying that Areola wasn't good or bad. I'm just saying I'm surprised that that happened, really. I thought Areola was going to be number one for the whole season, and Fabianski, because of his age and his experience, would be more of a cup keeper. Surprised me. But hey, when it comes to doing the bench boost, that's perfect for me. And I'm thinking once I've got all my players back, I might just quickly bench boost, because I always find when I do a bench boost, I never have a full substitute bench and a full start 11. So there's an injury or something, or I brought in a 4 million, I don't know, defender that's not playing, or a 4.5 million striker that's not playing. Right now, for the first time in quite a while, I've actually got a starting set of every single player, bar Greaves. But then you could put the question mark against Van der Berg, can't you? Because when Rico Henry comes back, is he still going to play? Don't know. Everyone else, though, is starting. So that's great news as it stands. So I might press the trigger on the bench boost just to get some points and get that token ticked. So after that, what have we got? So we got a big game. I reckon that one's going to go to an Arsenal win, but I don't think it's going to be a big one. 2-1, maybe something like that, which means that Raya will likely concede, as will Fabianski. So it doesn't really matter who I play in goal. You could argue maybe Fabianski might get more save points, but I think there's a bigger risk, even though he's the home. He's playing for the home team. But I do think Saka might get involved. I think you're looking at a goal or an assist, or maybe both, goal and assist against West Ham. So he will definitely. And that's where this week becomes quite interesting for the captaincy as well. There's a lot of people who have been doing captaincy sort of votes and stuff like that. And the three that I always look at when I look at captaincy is Haaland, Salah, Saka. And I've got it on Salah, but that's going to be a last-minute decision, I think. I just think that Salah's on form. If you look at his history, even against Manchester City, I still think he might be able to do something. Man United earlier this season, he already scored a goal and got 2 assists against Arsenal. He got a goal, so he's more than capable of scoring against the big sides. We know that he's a top player. Just that Saka form that he's starting to get into, I think you might see something today from Saka. Today on Saturday. At 5:30, I think Saka might do something on the weekend. 2-1, I reckon, for that one. And then we got Sunday. Chelsea, Aston Villa. I have players in that one. I have 2 from Chelsea, 1 from Villa. I've got Colwill and I've got Jackson. They will start. I don't think Villa are going to destroy Chelsea, especially if Chelsea are the home side. And I've also got Rodgers from Villa. Now, Rodgers is a bit of a pain in the backside for me. Brilliant player. But every time I seem to play him, he seems to get low points. And every time I stick him on the bench, he seems to get the blooming goals and stuff like that. So because I toyed with him and Jorginho Rutter, and I sort of changed those around, chop and change, rotate them. However, this weekend, it will be Rodgers on the bench and Jorginho Rutter will be starting. Fingers crossed he plays 60 minutes against Southampton tonight, and then I'll get some points from him. So, yeah, I can see a Chelsea win. I really can. Again, another 2-1 jobby. Then we got a match at 1:30 on Sunday. Another one, Man U versus Everton. Interestingly, a lot of people have been... so the lowest choice options really were Martinez and Dawson, weren't they? So Martinez, I'm still thinking about. He played against Bodo Glimt. Wasn't the greatest game, though, was it? Didn't they win 3-2 or something like that? It wasn't like they hammered Bodo Glimt yesterday, and I was thinking, that's a bit of a problem. They could have done with sort of beating them a bit more comfortably, maybe not conceding so much, and that might have made me a bit more comfortable about bringing in someone like Martinez for the weekend. We'll see. But that's a home match. Man United, I do have, I say it's a home match. I don't really have much going on with Man United. In fact, nothing. And that's where I like to have a bit of coverage for United. I think they might start picking up once they get used to Amorim's formation and sort of the way of playing, really, essentially. But I have no dog in the fight for Man United versus Everton at the moment. No player whatsoever from either of those teams. Then we've got Spurs versus Fulham. I do have a player in that one in Johnson. Johnson has been benched. And I did watch yesterday's match against Roma. And I was a bit edgy about the fact that he was limping, Brennan Johnson, I don't know if you saw in the first half, just before the end of the first half, he seemed to have got a knock and he was sort of limpy and holding his leg and he wasn't. But then again, he was asking to get the ball. He played 60, 70 minutes, right? Played for them for the whole match. So he played quite a bit of time. So I'm assuming it was just a knock and he was fine. So Johnson, I have playing against Fulham. He will play regardless. In 30 minutes, we saw against Man City what he can do. That's all he needs. One chance. He comes in from that side, cuts in, doesn't he? He scores. So Johnson is a definite player in the first team, irrespective of the minutes. And then we've got the huge one, which I spoke about a lot. I don't apologize it. Liverpool, Man City, that is the match of the weekend. That is 100%. It would have been the match of the weekend, even if there wasn't so much riding on it for City. This will show how, well, it will show Liverpool's full credentials, in my opinion. I really believe that. They drew with Arsenal 2-2. So it's a bit of a, I think to me, this is the big one. I know Man City are nowhere near. Well, I say nowhere near. They're not challenging this very second right up there. They're going to challenge. I think they'll come good at some point, Man City. It's just a question of, can Liverpool put a statement, a marker down, and that will be a victory on Sunday if they get it. But I don't think it's going to happen. Sorry to disappoint Liverpool fans. I'm not here to jeer on Man City. I just think Man City are going to do something on Sunday. I think they're going to turn up. They might change their tactics completely. Might even go Mourinho and sort of defensive and hold Liverpool. You never know. I know it's not Guardiola's way, but I just think be interesting to see how they play. I can see a big scoring draw on that one. I really can. And I have quite a few dogs. As you guys know, I've got 4 players. I have Konate, Lewis, Salah, Haaland. So the 4 of those guys are going to be basically battling it out. And that's where the decision about defenders and stuff like that becomes tricky. Because of the home side, I've put Konate in. That's the only logical reason why I've done it. And I've also, at the moment, I've got Salah on the captaincy, but that's because it's automatic from last week when I had Salah as a captain. I might throw that onto Saka. So Saka or Jackson are the real 2 options, as opposed to Salah or Haaland. I'm not going to give it to Haaland. I just don't think that Haaland's going to score more than 1 or get an assist. I mean, you look at his history. If it wasn't for the Brighton game and the Southampton game, he wouldn't have scored since Newcastle, which goes back to game week 6. So that's a long time to not score, especially a guy like him. But that guy scores 1 goal, 2 goals in the next few games, and I can see it, just the trajectory going up, the purple patch kicking in, and everyone will fall over themselves who've kicked him out of their team to get him again. I know I'm taking that risk. To me, when I pick a team, I pick set and forget players. And call it rigid, I'm not bothered, but I pick set and forget players. I can't get Cole Palmer in, Nicholas Jackson. And Nicholas Jackson's done really well. Again, his price has gone up recently. He's done all right. Arsenal and Man United aside, who, not the easiest teams to beat. Man United, you could argue are. Arsenal are difficult, Man United. But other than that, you look at the Newcastle game, you look at the Liverpool game, he scored in that one. You look at the Brighton game, he scored. He got an assist in that one. West Ham did well in that one. Crystal Palace did well. Leicester, more recently, goal and assist. So, and Cole Palmer didn't return in that game neither. So, there you go. So definitely, Nicholas Jackson will be a mainstay for now unless he gets injured. Another mainstay in the team, Salah, naturally. Saka 100% unless they get injured. Haaland 100%. Konate is injured at the moment, but I think he's going to be okay. Raya, yes, unless he gets injured. And then the rest of the team is fluid. Probably Johnson are the mainstay unless he gets injured as well. I think Fabianski's going to be a mainstay because he's starting 4 million goalkeeper. And then everyone else is sort of, we'll see how we go. Lewis is a question mark. If he keeps playing 60 minutes or so, then he might be worth just keeping for now. And then we've got Greaves, Rodgers, Rutter, depending on his sort of minutes. Risa, probably a mainstay because I think Brentford are going to come good again. Vandenberg is open to an option to bring out. Colwell has been quite disappointing, actually. Of all the players that I've got, sort of 4.5, he's probably been the most disappointing. I got him in Bournemouth, and he did well against there, and he did well against West Ham, and then I thought, oh, okay, here we go. And then, this happened. And I know people are saying, well, come on, it's Chelsea. They're not going to get clean sheets every week, but I just expected a bit more from Chelsea, just a tiny bit more. So, yeah, there you go. That's the team thus far. That is the fixtures. on the weekend. I'll leave them up on the screen. You guys, I'm sure, know who's playing who on this weekend, especially on the Sunday at 4 o'clock. I've gone on about it enough as it is. Join me at 3 o'clock. We will talk solely defenders. We will talk solely about that 4.4, 4.5. And after that, I'll make a decision about what I'm going to do, because obviously chopping and changing. I've got 3 free transfers. I have the flexibility and the ability to change things around. Share your team, like, comment, and subscribe, people, if you would. Do it, please. Don't just stalk me. Don't just watch my video once I've put it up on YouTube later on. Watch it live. Otherwise, if you don't, subscribe, follow, and like, please. And more importantly, and I'll say this openly, comment. Let's interact. Let's chat. See what you think about my team. Even if you don't like it, if you think it's rubbish, just say. All right, guys. But otherwise, I will see you, dudes and dudettes, at 2:30 p.m. this afternoon, and we will talk defenders only, budget defenders. See you at 2:30. Take care.